Godwin.
And I'm Ty Godwin.
And welcome to the Butterfly Pavilion podcast. Wow, that was a great
We were synchronized.
Intro.
We were synchronized.
Synchronized.
It's like we're related. Almost.
Whoa. Well, that's a great segue. As mentioned, I'm Nikki, but this is my dad. We are a father-daughter duo, if you couldn't tell, by our luscious red locks.
Ginger power.
Total ginger power, yes. But we wanted to go ahead and explain a little bit about the reason for starting this podcast together. We truly don't care if anyone else tunes into it. This is something that my mom, thank you Mom, actually recommended very casually. Like, hey, why don't you start making videos with your dad? And I thought that was a really great idea. I think in this digital day and age,
to date myself, we did something similar with your grandma and grandpa, Leela and Lyle, but I had like this, camcorder that was like a boombox. But we did something similar, and we still have that on VHS. It's been converted to digital, so yes. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, totally. And so we just wanted to take the time to sit down and talk about life and experiences.
And the elephant in the room.
Our memories, yes, and the elephant in the room, which is also another reason why I wanted to start this podcast. My dad has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and we just want to talk about it. We want to bring awareness to it to other audience members, but also have these videos and content to look back on, in the next few days and the next few years, just to have these memories and these conversations. And we are both very creative people, I would say, and so this is a nice, fun outlet for us. So welcome to the Butterfly Pavilion podcast.
Well, and thank you. If only one or two family members watch it, or we're the next Joe Rogan, and my wife and daughter get to live on royalties in perpetuity.
You know what?
That's my hope, is down the road it explodes. But
we are open for brand deals.
Yes,
this time.
yes. I am looking for that Pluvicto sponsorship.
Well, and just like a little, bit more background about who we are. I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30. We're Colorado natives. We currently live in Denver, Colorado. It's a horrible place. Don't move there, transplants. But we love our state. And yeah, love Denver.
Well, and before we jump into the meat of the questions, I'll point out that Nikki was nomading with her boyfriend Colin, meaning that she can work remotely. So she was traveling the western U.S. and got as far as the central time zone when the news hit. But I didn't ask her to do this, but she, made the ultimate sacrifice that any dad would love, and that was that she moved back to Denver. And again, I wouldn't have ever asked her to do that because I know she was having a great time, but she calls every day. She comes by at least once a week, and it's a big boost to my week and my days, because there's definitely some challenging days and moments as I traverse stage 4 cancer.
Well, I love you, Dad, and I would have made the same decision over and over again because I
love you too. And how do they? Is it?
Oh, the young kids are doing
the young
this.
Kids. Oh, the young kids are doing that. I'll have to practice.
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna practice the heart motions that we're doing.
Mine looks like a police. Mine looks like a police badge, not a heart.
Yeah, we'll work on it. But no, yeah, it's
Well, I love you too, and I'm excited that that we're doing this. So maybe so we thought a long time about the name Butterfly Pavilion, and it's may seem confusing from a branding standpoint because all of my socials is all about Seeking Boston and the unicorn, of course. But the
Right. So what's up with that?
Yes, I will explain. So I'm the king of metaphors. The Butterfly Pavilion relates to a story when Nikki was a young girl, and her mom took her to the Butterfly Pavilion, and she was having a great time in her little t-shirt dress, and she decided to pick a flower because she's a little girl and she saw a pretty flower. Well, there was a teenager that came along and ripped the flower out of her hand, and said, "The flowers are the butterfly's food, and you're not supposed to do that." But I heard this story and I was irate, and I called and got a hold of the CEO of the pavilion. And I didn't want this to happen, but they ultimately, fired the young teenager because you don't come in contact with a young girl. But for me, it kind of symbolizes how I protected my daughter as a dad would do. And I think butterfly is a metamorphosis metaphor, but it also feels like as we're transitioning in this stage of life, Nikki's moved back to Denver. She's very involved in dad's life, and it feels like there's a bit of a role reversal where she's now protecting dad. So I thought it was a great story and metaphor for
Absolutely.
our podcast.
Yes. No, it's been something that has been consistent, that story, throughout my life.
Because I never retell a story.
No, never. So yeah, we're excited to be here. But Dad, can you tell us a little bit more about how you found out about your cancer?
Yeah, well, as much as we can, try to keep stage 4 cancer light, because we want to, talk about how I'm living, how we're living. The elephant in the room is I've got stage 4 cancer, and it was actually it goes back to summer of 23, and I felt something was wrong. I thought maybe I had a hernia, got tested for a hernia. Insurance in this country, whole nother episode, because I've changed insurance companies so many times because I've been on disability with long COVID for 4 years at that point. So I didn't have a stable family doctor. So I got a new family doctor. And now, granted, that probably didn't change things in a grand scheme of things, but it took me like 4 months to actually get in to a really good family doctor. He's like, "Have you ever had a PSA test?" And for the men in our audience, I will defer to the American Cancer Society as to what age you start doing that. But certainly in your 40s or 50s, you should. It's a simple blood test, and that was the first step. He's like, "Hey, we need to do this." Normal range is between 1 and 4, and my first test came back to a 77. So they were freaked out. I was a little freaked out, but at that point I wasn't that worried because it could be something else. It could be one of two things, and the worst outcome is cancer. So it, wound up being a biopsy and an MRI, and they ultimately found I had metastasized stage 4 cancer. So it started in the prostate, and prostate doesn't jump to organs, which is good, but it does jump to bone. So I've got some rib pain, and largely in the pelvic area. So heating pad is my friend.
I can relate to that as a woman.
And as the Beatles say, I get by with a little help from my friends at night with a little pain medication. But it was, it's taken a long time to adjust to having stage 4 cancer. As you can imagine, when we got the news in the consult room with the doctor, it was my wife and I, and he had a very joking bedside manner, which I liked. But he was very stoic, and he said, "Hey, I think you knew from your PSA test that this is not good, and it's not good." And he explained the stage 4 cancer and how it metastasized within my body. So it happened to be around Thanksgiving, and I think the toughest part was telling everyone. I had a hard time getting up the strength to tell you.
I remember that.
And my Aunt Marge was in town and called her over and had a small, siblings, two of my siblings in town, and Aunt Marge, and shared the story. And it was, I couldn't make eye contact, because it was obviously devastating. But that was how I found out. How did you? I know we weren't going to talk about it.
We're not talking about it.
We're not going to ask Nikki how she processed it, but was it a phone? I'm trying to remember. Did you come over, or was it a phone call?
It was a phone call, because at the time my boyfriend Colin and I were still traveling. We work remotely. We were Airbnb hopping.
Right.
And we were in St. Louis. Not in a great area, but a nice Airbnb. I digress. But it was right around the holidays, or before the holidays.
It was right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right before Thanksgiving. Got that phone call, which was a lot to process and a little bit difficult, hearing that news and not being right at home. But we were already planning on coming home anyways for Thanksgiving, so we quickly obviously came home after that. But I mean, as far as processing, I'm sure a lot of other families that have family members with cancer, it's a lot to process, and I think I personally am still processing what's happening even to this day. It definitely has taken a while to sink in that this is reality, and life's a bitch, and it just throws curveballs that no one is expecting, and you just have to get through it. The only way out is through. I don't know who that is quoted from, but it's so true. And with cancer specifically, there's nothing that we can do, or specifically that I can do, outside of just being here for my family and being supportive and asking for how I can help. I'm not a doctor. I wish there was a cure for cancer, or I had a magical power to make it go away, but I can't. So just kind of coming to terms with that. So to answer your question, I haven't really processed it.
Well, I think it's a journey, and I think when I first got the diagnosis, I struggle with, hey, I'm too young, and I want weddings, I love kids, I want grandkids, and I think that was the hardest thing for me to process. But I think I've moved on from that, and am now thinking more about what can I do and what experiences can I have while I'm, still on the earth. So I don't stress over, I wanted 6 grandchildren and that's not going to happen, or whatever. So the pressure's off, by the way.
Yeah, for the record, thanks, Dad, for throwing that in there.
No, but it's true. I think that was my first reaction is, well, I was still working. I was in the prime of my career and in income generation, and before I got long COVID, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But my career was cut short with long COVID and subsequently cancer, so I will never go back to work. So that was a major adjustment, and my wife and I love to travel, and there are days and weeks where I wake up at 10 or noon and I go to the sofa. So that, but there are other days when I can, grab some slice of life, even if that's sitting outside with my wife, Franzi, holding her hand, and I try and grab what I can. Having said that, there are definitely dark moments, and at home at home in our bedroom, I will be laying on my back, and there's a Sonos speaker that shines a very small light through our lamp, and it projects this lamp on the ceiling, and that's what I stare at night when my mind wanders to death, mortality, and waffling between the ugly and the scary to, hey, what can I still do while I'm here? But,
well, and speaking of slices of experience, we totally forgot to tell everyone where we are right now. We're in New Mexico, and we decided to take a trip together as a family. We've been here for a week now. Mm-hmm. This is not the normal setting, but I think for me, all I want is experiences and time spent with my dad, and that also really is truly what life is about, is living in the moment and being mindful and present of just what's happening, but also just grateful for the good pieces. But also understand, Dad, through your experience, there's times of lows that are true and very valid feelings. But I think you've done an amazing job and the best job that you can to, live your life, and also leverage the resources that are provided, obviously, through CUE and Shoots, of course, on the medical side, but also on the behavioral health side as well, because mm-hmm. mental and physical health are equally important.
Yeah, and the disclaimer for insurance is this is a respite, and I think all oncology, and in fact my oncologist recommends to push yourself to have to continue living and having life experiences. So we're in a great Airbnb that my wife found. Granted, there are most days where it resembles my days at home, where I've slept in till noon a number of days and then taken a nap in the afternoon. We've had great meals here.
Lots of great meals.
The Nuggets and Avalanche have not helped us while we're here, because Nikki is such a sports fan. But no, that has been fun. Just watching games with Colin and now Nikki, or Keenan and Nay have arrived.
Yeah, it's been a great rest retreat, if you will, and it's been all nice to be in the same physical space as you. I've been meaning to share that with you, even though if you're just sleeping in the next room, the fact that I'm near you makes me really happy.
Or napping on the sofa while you were working. You had headphones on, so hopefully I didn't snore too loud.
No, I didn't even know you were sleeping until I popped out of my work zone and realized you were there. But again, it's your presence.
There's a man sleeping in next to my workspace.
Not in your underwear, though. You don't do that when Nikki's around.
We have strict rules about that.
Obviously. But, so something that everyone may not know about you is that you have a lot of parody voices in your mental roster. And you would, as when we were kids.
Well, before we go there, because I do want to do that.
I'm trying to stick to the outline, Dad.
Yes, we did glaze over the whole Boston thing.
Well, you briefly touched on the pivot away for our podcast specifically, but tell us what's going on.
Well, no, so just for branding clarification, because my daughter talked to me about branding today.
We did have a conversation.
All of my socials are tied to either Seeking Boston or Seeking Boston Marathon, because I started a blog back in 2007 because I wanted to race in the Boston Marathon. And I ultimately qualified and raced in 5 Boston Marathons.
Hell yeah, you did.
I thought I would go on forever, but ultimately age and, but regardless, I've kept those social brands, and it's become an advocacy platform for both long COVID as well as cancer. So you will see me referred to as either Ty or Dad or Seeking Boston. So I wanted to clarify that. But you are going to Voices.
Yes. When we were kids, and also unfortunately still to this day, I say unfortunately because Dad cracks a lot.
Well, no, the joke this week
jokes.
is that I am the progressive commercial, the dad in the progressive commercials.
Yes, that's not an exaggeration either. But yes, when we were younger, you kind of started building this library of different cartoon voices to entertain us. So why don't you go ahead and share a few?
Well, I'll share one because
Just
we're
one.
gonna have more than one podcast, I'm hoping. But no, as a point in the journey, we are a blended family in that got divorced when Nikki and Jesse were very young, and I think I doubled down as I called myself the Disney dad, in that we actually did go on a Disney cruise, but
we did.
I tried very hard to invest heavily into being a dad, and I took that to extremes of wearing a Spider-Man costume to Jesse's birthday party, where he was quite horrified. But there were a lot of trips to Blockbuster, renting videos for the weekend, and yes, so I developed voices and trying to entertain my kids. So I think an early one was Shrek. Of course, there's a lot of scenes, but I think it's ogres. Ogres squeeze ogres squeeze jelly from their eyes. It's actually quite good on toast.
That one is.
Sorry, I didn't practice that one, but it came to me.
That one is said a lot, normally around breakfast time.
Yes, because it's quite good on toast.
Very good on toast. Great movie. Well, that's kind of our first episode. Unless Daddy have anything else you would like to...
No, I don't think so. It's a heavy topic, but we want to see where this goes, to share memories that even if it's, again, just for us to talk about camping trips or that Disney cruise, and that could be the next episode of because that was a great time at that time with just the three of us.
It was pretty grand.
But I'm excited to see where this goes, and even if it's a time capsule for the family. But thanks for tuning in to the Butterfly Pavilion podcast.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you soon. I'm not going to say next week.
Yes.